Okay. Waiting for the stream to go live on. There it is, live on YouTube. So here we are and ready for episode 36 of Calvinwazoo's Sunday Brunch Bunch. So, yeah, we'll get started here with the year 2018. Coming up shortly, I've got plenty of records to show, and I understand that Jason Skills and Tommy from Tommy's Vinyl Knot also will have some records for us, and see if somebody else would like to join us. Last night, I went to a really fantastic concert, and it was Adrian Belew and Jerry Harrison, and they were doing the Remain in Light tour. So a large portion of the set list was devoted to the Talking Heads album Remain in Light. Really, really good show. There were a couple other songs, that they played that were not from Remain in Light. For example, the show opened with Psycho Killer. And they also, at one point when they took breaks. So Adrian Belew took the first break and went off stage. And then Jerry Harrison did I can't remember now which song it was. It was a Talking Head song, but it was one that Adrian Belew really didn't have anything to do with. And then Adrian Belew came back out, and then Jerry went and took a break. And then Adrian did a King Crimson song from one of the trilogy that he was involved in. So if you know those albums, that would it's a song he commonly does in concert, although I don't remember which album it's from. But the three that he was most involved in, okay. Chris may not be able to make it. Sorry to hear that, Chris, but let us know if you can. Anyway, there was Beat, Discipline, and Three of a Perfect Pair. Those were the three King Crimson albums that Adrian Belew had the most involvement in. I mean, you could really call them his albums because it's really his imprint on those three albums. Truly, Adrian Belew personifies the phrase that Frank Zappa coined of stunt guitar. I mean, he's an incredible guitar player, but the effects and sounds and things that he can get out of a guitar are just really, really amazing. So that was a fun show. For the opening act, I couldn't get their name, but they came out and performed with Adrian and Jerry. So they were provided keyboards, drums, other percussion. I had two saxophone players, a trumpet player, and then two women doing some vocals. Great show. If you haven't seen the Remain in Light tour, they're still going around, and it's solid all the way around. Really good show. The set lists, if you go to setlist.com, you can see what they're playing. It's pretty, I think it looks like it's pretty consistent from town to town they were going to. So, fun time. There was another Gunkel there. I didn't see him, but there was another Gunkel, Mike from Hubtunes, was at the show as well. But yeah, it was a fun time. But hey, today we are going to be talking about the year 2018 in music. We're getting towards the end because it's 2023 and we're going to be running out of years. So so some other people were going to shows. Jason, went to a couple of shows, and then Tommy says he was at a gig as well. But yeah, we're getting to the end, so it's going to be, I've been kind of hashing it in my mind. My three options are: I just retire the stream and don't do it anymore, or another option is to go back years. I think I started this with 1978, maybe was the year, and maybe go back into the 60s and start moving forward again, or kind of mix it up a little bit, and maybe do some streams where we pick a particular band and go through their discography. That is something to consider. Maybe also find some other people who can fill out. For example, I don't have every Residence album. I've got a lot of them though, and I know there are other people who have Residence, and with a combination of 2 or 3 people, then we could probably cover the entire Residence discography, which is quite vast. And then there are other genres of music. Stunty has the electronic, and house and dark wave and avant-garde covered pretty well, so probably wouldn't necessarily need to go into that. But yeah, there's other things to think about. If any of you have some ideas of how to, once we hit 2023, and you've got some ideas for some possible themes for future live streams, put them in the comments. Put them, leave a comment about some of those ideas. And, and if there's a certain idea where, you would be willing to participate in the live stream, put a comment down there too and let me know. Give me an idea of, kind of what I'm working with, because I already do videos where it's just me talking about records. The live stream is really an opportunity for us to talk about the music that we love and enjoy and really like to talk about. So, that's why we do this, right? I know that Jason and Tommy are out there ready to go, I believe. So we've got we'll put the link out there. And if somebody else is prepared for the year 2018, I've got I've got enough albums where we can do probably 7 or so rounds, and I'm going to do 2 records per round. So I think that's what I'm going to do. And as I was chatting prior to the show, it's quite a variety. I've got quite a broad spectrum of releases to go here. Well, here's welcome aboard, Tommy. How are you doing today?
Now, is my mic now working?
Yes, you were muted before, but now you are. Now you're not.
Okay, good. Because I have new headphones, my old one broke.
Getting fancy, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, he's like this red light here. It's like lightsaber here.
Okay.
Ooh, wow. Are
So
you
you
taking off to another planet?
Yeah, you can cut us up
Yeah.
there. Hey, Jason.
My
Cosmo.
laptop
Hey, Richard.
my laptop have so bad
Audio? Video?
audio. Yes, I have to use these headphones to hear something.
I hope am I coming in crisper and cleaner, because some of mine have been really muffled. I don't know, like, am I muffled right now?
No, very
I
good.
always hear you fine, so I don't know what it's like on the playback because
Yeah.
I don't, I don't watch the playbacks.
But Richard, yeah, you had some ideas there. What about this other idea? I threw it out there the other week where we recommend to each other an album or a couple albums to listen to.
Yeah, that's
review.
right. You did mention that. And that would be
It's an idea.
That would be a good one, right? Just make sure that
like you don't have to own it.
Easily
you could
available.
You could just look it up on Bandcamp or Spotify to hear it.
Well, you see, I don't use any streaming services. So if it's not on Bandcamp or I can't find it on YouTube, then I'm not going to be able to listen to it. So
how come you don't use Spotify? You don't.
I was really never into that kind of a thing where I was only interested in listening to songs.
Right.
And it just, I mean, I had it for a while. The free service that of course has, commercials or whatever in it. And, but I never stuck with it.
I'm in some sort of family plan. Like I don't pay for it. Like we share it in the family. I really only use it like in the car for like car rides. It's kind of quick and easy, but
yes, most cars nowadays have that anyway.
In office when I play there.
Yeah. Actually, Tommy, I started bringing to my office because we have to go in one day a week now to the office. So I start bringing a little tape deck, little Walkman. I just rock my tapes. Super old school. Scare the children, like the kids. They're like, "Oh my God, old man's coming in. What the hell is this?
What is this thing?"
Hey, Richard, I never.
Oh yeah, something about a tape. It was an alternative tentacles tape that intentionally left side 2 blank so that you record on it.
Oh,
and then it had like a tape over those holes. Remember how we used to tape
the
those
tabs?
Holes
Yeah, take the tabs out.
Re-record over something.
I didn't know about that. But I am going to show a tape later where the band just recorded over an actual tape. So it's kind of funny. But Richard, I was going to ask you before we get into it. I mean, don't go into detail or anything, but I never asked you before. What do you do for a day job? Like, is it an office job? Like, what kind of line of work do you usually do?
No, I work from home too. I'm in television, news, media. So.
Oh yeah, you're a media guy. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm kind of. I'm like an editorial consultant. I'm not a contractor. I don't contract. Okay. I work for a company.
Yeah, but you're not a journalist, though.
But my background's in journalism, print journalism. Been a reporter and editor, and cool. Okay. So that's what I do.
I didn't realize Tommy used to run a video store, by the way, for 25 years. Like.
Yes, I had own video store from 93 to 2010, but then I worked 8 years in a distribution company.
Right.
After that, so I have sold 25 years movies, and I'm completely fed up about movies.
And then you got rid of all the movies.
Yeah, I have my home like 10 movies or something like that. That's all I have.
Wow.
That was towards the end of the golden age of video rentals.
Yeah. I didn't have a rental place. I sold the movies only. I only sold movies.
Oh, okay.
Started with VHS and then Laserdisc and then of course DVD and Blu-ray and.
Did you have like underground and like rare stuff, or was it more commercial? The top.
Almost all was like the rare stuff because we had very strict video laws in Finland back in the day. So we imported stuff from UK and other countries, and we didn't care about the video laws. So it was quite much illegal stuff to do
underground.
but actually, no one cared before this DVD came, and there was this Region 2 and Region 1. As long as we sold Region 1 titles and there was no DVDs available in Finland, no one cared. But when the DVDs came, usual stuff here, and Warner and Sony and all distribute their own stuff, then they attacked to us, and we had to stop doing Region 1 DVDs at that time. It was a big blow, like 50% of our business went down.
Yeah, imagine.
Well, then, here's kind of a challenge maybe for both of you guys, because it has a little bit to do with these different formats. And that is, if you have either of you ever seen the Japanese film, What If Cats Disappeared from the World?
No,
I don't know.
Well, I suggest you find it and watch it. It's a 2016 film. And there's an interesting character in there who runs a video store. And there's also some sort of links to other technology, etc.
Oh, right.
It's a really good movie. I mean, it's really probably one of the top 10 movies of that year, at least in my opinion. But yeah, check it out. What If Cats Disappeared from the World? And hey, any of you out there in the audience, I strongly recommend watching that as well. So
was it it's an independent movie, I guess?
The
Japanese.
Well, it's Japanese, so I don't know if it was made by a major Japanese production company. I saw it the first time while I was on an international flight. And then I ended up finding on Amazon a Blu-ray for sale that was in the format for North America. But yeah, I would check it out.
I can also recommend one movie. It's just coming out there in States. It's a Finnish war movie set up in the Second World War in Lapland. It's called Sisu. And there's this old
spell it in the chat.
With an S or a C?
With S.
Okay. I can recommend a movie, Clerks.
Yes. And
it's also a video store movie.
Yeah, but there's the old gold digger living in Lapland, and he found very much gold, and then he tried to take this gold to the nearest city.
Yeah.
And he crossed with the German battalion or platoon or something like that. That couple trucks with German and tank, and then they try to take his gold, and he get very pissed off. And then the rest of the movie is that he's killing these Germans Nazis by one, and it's like a Mad Max Fury Road in Second World War. Really good movie. And the thing why I told this is the director Jalmari Helander was my customer back in the 90s when he was like 15 years or 16 years old kid.
Cool.
He every Saturday came into my store, and he tell how they make home movies with VHS tapes and action movies, and then he had always talking about Rambo and Terminator and things like that. And then
now he made a movie.
Now he's fucking great film director.
Wow, that's fucking cool, man.
I'll definitely check it out. I'll check it out because it's something I learned recently, and I know a lot of Americans do not know this. But there are essentially, I think, 2 countries in the world that fought the Russian army and beat them. One of them was Japan. One of them was Finland.
Yeah.
Really?
Finland kicked the Russian army's ass.
Really?
In the Winter War, yes. But they quite much run out of the bullets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta say, Russians are hard to beat, man.
Yeah, we had to do peace because we didn't have bullets here anymore.
It's a very disorganized army that is very poorly prepared and weaponized. The one thing the Russian army has is it's got millions of conscripts that that the leaders can throw,
Yeah.
and they could just win by attrition.
Suffering is a thing for them. They don't mind. They will outsuffer everybody else, right? They don't care.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. But
Well,
yeah.
we're not here for suffering. We're
No.
here to enjoy
Yeah. We
and
are
talk
from
about
records.
some music
Music.
here.
Yeah.
That's right. From the
One
year-
other thing, Richard, though, you know what? That just came to my mind, an idea. We could also do the show after all this is done, just on movies. We could pick your favorite movies every year.
Yeah, that's another format.
That would be a whole other format. Anyway, on to the show, 2018.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of movies and DVD, but a lot of them are like illegal copies. I wouldn't want the FBI to come after me.
I wouldn't be able to show anything. I'd probably just talk about my top 10 movies of that year. I probably wouldn't have anything to show. But yeah.
Okay.
All right, well then,
Tommy, why don't you get us started?
Yeah, I start with the band that I saw yesterday. It's Ydinperhe, it's Finnish hardcore.
Yeah.
My friend and colleague is playing drums here. And this is from 2018, of course. And it's this cover is about comment like from 2017 Independence Day in Finland, where these anarchists have their own demonstration, and they was fighting with police, and there's like I don't remember they're burning any police cars, but they're breaking windows, and it's here picture is Teen Wolf record shop. They didn't break that, but it was the punk record shop of the of Helsinki at that time. It's not anymore available.
I do like that cover.
Yeah, what a cover.
They have very good covers here, and they are excellent band doing like very much streetwise hardcore, and of course the lyrics are a little bit leftist, but he has like no rules, and then of course there are much lyrics commenting about narcotics use and things like that. But excellent album, and they are still going strong.
Do they really have like that many confrontations in a year in Finland between like the punks and the police, or
no? I don't know if the Independence Day that all these people are going to our president's castle to have party. Then they have this counter demonstration there.
Right.
And they at this year in 2017 there was quite much trouble in those demonstrations.
Yeah, I used to live in a city called Montreal, right, which is a French city, and like they love that shit. Like every year, the punks they have these clashes, and they're always protesting. They're like French, right? Like the France, you know. Like,
but
there's always a protest of something.
Nowadays, these punks don't demonstrate against like this president's party because Nazis try to keep their own demonstrations in same day, so they are against that. That's
yeah, you get the counter thing. Yeah.
Between Nazis and punks.
Yeah, not fun. Yeah.
No,
well, I think there's probably going to be more of that happening, at least in the U.S., because the neo-Nazis are getting uppity.
The political divide, in the States, yeah.
Some neo-Nazis and some right-wing politics that quite not support them openly, but in secretly they are just talking the same, but little different words.
Yeah.
So what you got, Jason?
2018, right? I guess I'll start off with cassettes because I'm only going to show 3 cassettes today. The first one I'm going to show I just recently got, and I posted in my video, and I love this band. It's called Doldry, and it's a metal band. Surprise. This is on Caligari Records, a great tape label out of the States. But this band is actually from Singapore, and just like really raw as hell, like kind of first wave black metal almost on this, like a Venom vibes, but a little bit more aggressive and hardcore with the vocals. But it's raw, like it's kind of hardcore meets death metal. Yeah, really good shit, Doldry. And I posted it, and they reposted my post. They tagged me. They're still going, this band. Cool, I think they had maybe one other album or something. So that's one. And then I've got 2 cassettes from the same band, a local punk band called Torpor. I don't even know what happened to these guys. I mean, they're gone now, pandemic and all that. But I saw them. Obviously, that's where I got these 2 demos. And they have like some of the shittiest. I mean, it's actually nice art, but it's just really like, simple, minimalist, right? Really lo-fi. So this is the cassette where, like, I mean, look at this. Like, this is homemade, right? Like, this just black and white
looking.
And then they just
DIY.
they just took some tape. So this is actually a Mute Records cassette. Frank Tovey and the Pyros, Grand Union. Never heard of it. I don't know if some of the original music's on this tape, but I wouldn't mind. I should look this up. It was a 1991 album. And oh my God, they still have the tape on the top to like record over. This is back when you could buy a demo tape for $5.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't spend more than $5. A lot of songs, some songs in French on this one, looks like. And I don't recognize the band member names at this point, but I'm sure they've all moved on to other projects or got a real job or whatever as life happens, right? But yeah.
Seems like they picked the wrong name for their band because
Torpor?
Because the definition of torpor is like being in a state of lethargy, of having zero mental activity.
Oh, really? I don't know what it meant.
So
maybe they don't have.
That may have influenced
in that state now. Yeah. But I was kind of going to these hardcore shows to like wake up because the older you get, right, you need naps and stuff at night. So I go to these shows at like 7, 8 o'clock.
I take them in the afternoon.
Oh yeah, I love naps. Anytime, man. Take a nap.
Do they have hardcore shows there in Canada? Like in Finland, they are usually starting like in 8 p.m. and they stop. It's over.
Absolutely.
before midnight.
Yeah. In Ottawa, where I live, absolutely, because this is a government town and it's super heavy on bylaws. We love rules and regulations. So there is no loud music in this city after 11 p.m. unless you have some kind of license or whatever, right? So all the hardcore shows are like in houses, like house parties, basically, basement jams, and they're over by 11, which actually works out really well for old geezers like me. 11 o'clock, perfect.
Good. I'm very happy that you get good night's sleep.
After last night's show, it got out roughly around like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And so waiting for the bus, and then as riding the bus and seeing the people out on the street, that's when the stuff starts happening. That's when people start coming out to go to the clubs,
the bars.
Because there's a whole very much a club scene because I live right by Wrigleyville, which is where all the straight bars are, and then I'm also by Boys Town where all the gay bars are, and it happens, like clockwork. 11 o'clock at night, that's when everybody starts showing up.
You live close to Smart Bar then, and Metro.
Yes, yeah,
and down below is Smart Bar. That's a famous house music club. I go there every time I go to Chicago. I usually go there.
I haven't been to Metro yet because one, I hear it's really small, and it's also a venue that you have to stand. There's no place.
It's a lot of standing, my friend.
At least when I go to someplace like the Vic, or if I go to the Riviera, I have to stand. Usually the Riviera, I'll get a ticket to be up in the balcony where I can sit down.
That's nice.
But if I'm on the floor, they have a rail. And if I get there early enough, I can park myself by the rail.
Yeah,
then I got something to lean against.
Well, I was in a really tiny venue last night. I went to 2 shows. So I went to the Grindcore show. It was super tiny. And it was one of these, it's like a little bar, right? And it's a case where you either stand in the front, but then you're in the mosh pit and you're just fucking destruction. Or you stand in the back and I'm short. You can't see fucking anything.
Right.
So it was not a fun gig, right? That way, right?
Yeah, that would
I can hear it, but I can't see it.
Go to.
And then that one ended, like Tommy's saying, like this one ended like 11 or 12, and then I went to a club, which I don't normally do that, but I happened to have a ticket for this club, so I went to check that out, and then I went.
Nice. Yeah. All right. Well, my as I'm going to be showing records in pairs, and I actually went through and kind of organized them with a little bit of sense here. So my first 2 are interesting examples because they are both examples where the artist took an earlier release, and in one case it wasn't available on any other format except digitally, and then the other one and they re-recorded, redid everything for a reissue that was in 2018. So the first one is this one here, which I kind of bought. Not it was sort of a blind buy, but it was the cover. I just thought the cover was really interesting, and it was, Japanese jazz is this kind of the section that it was in, and this is the album Intaglio by Motohiko Hamase, and he did the re-recording and everything, and he does all the instruments except for one or two other musicians back in 2018. And it's a really, if you could think of, if David Bowie at about the time of the album Low got together with Stanley Clarke, at the time of School's Out, the jazz fusion era, that's kind of what this album sounds like. It's, that's how I would sort of characterize it. There's some really good jazz bass riffs in here, but there's also this element of avant-garde, what's some of just, a little bit different. It's like a jazz bass, but you've got this heavy layer of avant-garde and other things that are going on with it in terms of instrumentation and rhythms too. Really beautiful album. There's a particular song on here called Rain Calls for Birds, which to me, this is what the cover, is kind of about. And it really is a lot of like vibraphone, but I'm not sure if it's vibraphone, but it sounds like vibraphone. But I'm sure there's a Japanese instrument, I think, that is like a vibraphone that, you hear a lot with some Japanese recordings. But yeah, so if you are a fan of Japanese jazz fusion to begin with, I would recommend this. Also, as I say, if you liked David Bowie's Low and you like the style of playing that Stanley Clarke was pretty much known for, this is an album I think you would really, really enjoy. And then the other one, of course, is going to be the Car Seat Headrest album, Twin Fantasy. So this was initially only available in digital format, and it was released in like 2011. And so what happened when Will Toledo signed with Matador Records, this was the one record of all the earlier material that was out on digital. It was very, very lo-fi. And he went back and I don't know what recording studio, but he came to Chicago and he re-recorded it and remastered it and for this 2018 release. And this is just an incredible, sweeping, thematic album of just amazing. This is when I first started discovering Car Seat Headrest. They're not songs in the traditional sense where there's a verse, chorus kind of organization to the song. These songs are sweeping, epic-like stories, many of them are. But they have a pop music influence to them. So it's very alternative rock, very post-punk, and just incredible. Some of the best songs, my favorite songs of all, it's a double album, are on this. But one of the songs is, I think it's on this one, Bodies, which is just an absolutely amazing. Is Bodies on here? Because sometimes I get it mixed up, but I'm pretty sure it is. High to Death is, Bodies is on here. High to Death and Cute Thing are also really, really great songs. But yeah, so car seat headrest. They'd already released some other records on Matador, but this was the one that he went back and re-recorded and cleaned it up. It's still got some lo-fi elements to it, but it's seriously not as lo-fi as what the original digital release was. So that's car seat headrest for 2018. So yeah, Ed, that particular you should check it. I've got a few other Japanese records here that I'll be showing. Well, all right, Tommy.
Yes, I just writing in the chat.
Did you travel a lot to Japan or something, Richard? Like, how did you get into this Japanese thing?
I've never been to Japan.
No.
And but I have traveled to Asia.
Right.
But I don't know. It's just
Connected with it.
I love exploring different types of music. And
have you heard this series Wamono A to Z, Japanese DJ that is releasing this series? There's like 70s,
Wamono A to Z,
disco, funk, jazz, groove tracks in those.
I have not. I mean, I've got a couple compilations of Japanese.
Just very
jazz
good
and
compilations.
fusion.
I have three. I think I have 3 or 4, 3 at least.
Yeah.
Very, very good tracks. But yes, maybe I go with something of my usual stuff here. Here's the band that Jason seems to be liking.
Yeah.
Sonic Poison's second EP, Combat Grind. I saw them 2018 live, and oh boy, it was like you had trip 30 years back on those old grindcore days like Morbid Angel and Repulsion and things like
Sonic Poison, Combat
Sonic
Grind.
Poison, yeah,
Wow.
this three-piece band, and they sound is like Repulsion, this classic American band, grindcore band.
Yeah, I just
Very
got that
good.
recent one, right, from 2023.
Yeah, I also ordered that. It's strange. The tape is in States and the vinyl is in UK and the CD is from Indonesia.
It's a punk way of doing things. Global.
Yeah, I ordered the tape and I'm hoping that I cross the vinyl sometimes, but it was fucking awesome record, that new one, and also this Combat Grind EP. And I also saw on 2018 hardcore record here, Kova Rasva. This is their first LP, Pahan Vaimon käsikirja, so it's a handbook of bad wife.
Is this a Finnish band?
Yeah, this is Finnish band, and
Okay.
they have like super fast and it's like thrashcore, I think. And funny thing about this, their releases, they have in A and B side is same, so all songs are in both sides. And I didn't never notice it before I talked. I made interview video with the band, and they told, have you noticed that? No, I haven't noticed. But I know why I haven't noticed, because when I'm home listening records, I usually listen only one side and then I change the band or record. So I never seldom listen in both sides,
Okay.
in a row. It's funnier to have different music when you're listening.
Oops.
This is excellent Finnish band. I think I have seen them live like 10 times.
Nice.
Already.
Yeah, I pretty much, sometimes I'll do that. I'll just play one side of an album. But most of the time when I pick an album to listen to, I listen to the whole thing. I'll do that more often with a double album, but maybe I don't want to listen to all 4 sides, so, but anyway. Well, Jason, you're up next. What you got?
I'll do a CD round this time. I just got 3 CDs. And bear with me because I'm going to break the rules a little bit. I'm going to break the rules. I gotta show it. I don't care.
Bring out the vinyl police.
It's a reissue, but it's goddamn rare. Okay, no one has ever had the first edition. Okay, the first edition came out almost like a private press. Hey, Jorgen. almost a private press, man. There's no fucking copies in
Well, that first
1973.
Japanese record I showed was
Right.
that case. The original
Okay.
release was
Then
super
good.
super rare, and that's why he went and re-recorded.
Okay, back me up, Richard. Back me up. I think it's just really important to show because I really want to show it to you guys. I think you would dig this, Richard and Tommy as well. It's called Two Sisters from Baghdad, LeVice and Co. And it's super lo-fi production there, but the whole story behind this is really cool. It's from Detroit. So this guy, he was in the army, older dude. He comes back from like, working for the army or whatever, and he moves back to Detroit and gets involved in like theater arts. And it's kind of like a musical play. It's really cool. I mean, it's got funk and soul in here too, but it's just done in that kind of lo-fi kind of way. It's really fun. I don't know. I have a soft spot for musicals apparently, but Two Sisters from Baghdad, and it's this really bizarre story. There's a track called Satan Baby. So the story is bizarre too. It's like it's meant to be like,
because I'm looking at it in Discogs. There's a song that's called Mr. Devil, but I don't see no Satan.
Track number 8 on here is Satan Baby.
The storyline is. I'm looking at the vinyl release. Let me go look at.
Yeah, this is the Jazzman reissue. So Jazzman does some great reissues. They're like Soul Jazz Records. I think they're a UK based label, and they will reissue like rare, out of print, usually 7 inches. I get a lot of 7 inches on Jazzman.
Yeah, this is from 1973.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the whole thing was a flop, right? Like he did this like musical thing, and it was like a all black cast, black musical kind of thing, and it just like it didn't really take off. He invested a lot of money in it. He pressed vinyl of it, and they did, I don't know how many showings they did, and the story is just like really kind of crazy and outlandish. It's like something about like this guy gets this woman pregnant, like Satan gets a woman pregnant or something. I don't know. It's all written in the liner notes.
Like Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, something along this lines, I guess. But really fun album. I just got that recently, so I had to show it.
Yeah, it's reasonably priced, the CD. I'm looking at it here, and
I recommend
it. Only has 4 ratings, but it's a perfect 5, all 4 ratings.
Yeah, it's just different, man. There is a Mr. Devil song on here. Number 7 is Mr. Devil.
Yeah,
number 8 is Satan Baby.
It is.
Yeah,
and I was looking at the vinyl release, which has a 0 history. It's never been sold in Discogs.
No, it's probably like they were destroyed, or I don't know how many even pressed to begin with, private press. It's just got a real lo-fi sensibility to it, low key, kind of bespoke. And the other 2 CDs I got some metal, Cryptopsy. That's how you say that band. This is a technical death metal. This is tech death. So it's death metal, but they can really they can really play their instruments basically in this, because a lot of death metal is kind of gurgy and stuff, and a little bit sloppy maybe, but not tech death. Technical death metal means they're technical at their musicianship. So a lot of crazy drum rolls and different timings and different tempos and speeds. There's a lot of alliances with like jazz drumming in that sense. I love just the bizarreness of it. It almost becomes anti-music. Like these are not like traditional type songwriting. But yeah, this one's called The Book of Suffering. So there's some suffering there. And last but not least, I got some more metal. Love this band. Just finally saw this band live for the first time this month. Gland, they're called. So I got to give some local love here. This is a local grindcore band, and I've been getting into grindcore lately. They don't have in here the symbol, but a lot of times the grindcore bands, they put a little symbol on their releases with it, which is a music note and a cross between it. In other words, anti-music. Yeah, it's a really kind of avant-garde, but grimy and sludgy kind of scene, right? So yeah, this is like it looks like a CDR copy they just made. Deterioration of Flesh. And they're a lot of fun, man. They're fucking hilarious. I saw them live. The lead singer starts off the concert with like, if anybody out there pisses their pants, come on up and you're going to get free merch. If you shit your pants, you're going to get, this is a disgusting genre. They like to go disgusting, but they're pro body, right? They're not They're not shaming anybody. There's no body shaming going on with this scene. It's a very weird scene, man. Grindcore. It mixes some crazy elements of hardcore punk and takes it even more extreme, like to the extreme. And you do have the Cookie Monster death metal vocals too. It's all about extreme music.
What
basically.
about the other one? The first one?
This one definitely has the Cookie Monster vocals as well. But it's tech death, so they're kind of taking their stuff a little seriously. There's not a lot of humor, I would say, in this band. This band has a lot of humor. It's all absurdist, right? It's like if Frank Zappa did heavy metal, but on crack.
Okay.
That's my CDs.
All right. Interesting. That first one though,
if you find that,
interesting. So
check it out online and on Bandcamp. I think you can hear it on Bandcamp to preview before you commit to that, But
yeah, well, it's selling for like $10, so it doesn't
low risk.
It's going to cost
low
me.
Risk.
Yeah, it'll be low risk, especially if I can find a seller that's got some other titles that I want. So, all right. So for my next two, I'm going into a little psychedelic music. And one from Japan and one from Turkey, although the band is based in the Netherlands. So this first one here is, the band is called Kikagaku Moyo. And I mean, this album cover, let's check this out. This is pretty wild album cover. So, and I saw this in a store. And I thought, again, sometimes really crazy album covers, and I see them, and I'm like, this looks cool. And then the sticker description by the record store, they put it as like psych and prog rock, sort of influenced kind of a 70s to 80s kind of style of music. They mentioned some other bands that I really don't know anything about that they were similar to, like Happy End or Dungeon or Goat, though. Goat I know about. And yeah, maybe a little bit of kind of like Goat. But the other thing that this band did, very cool. Here, let me show is the label, the record label that it's on, all right? The record label is Guru Guru Brain. And, all right, so and then here you can see a little too much glare going on here.
Guru Guru, it's a German prog rock brand.
There's a band called Guru Guru.
Yeah, it's
all right, but
German
this is the record label Guru Guru Brain.
Yeah,
and the record label specializes in psychedelic music from East Asia. So we're talking about bands from Japan, Taiwan, Thailand, Indonesia. So from there, and they're all really, really quite good. So that tipped me off to, you can see here the label. It tipped me off to the label, and they have a website that you can order records directly, but sometimes I do. I see them in the record store. So Kikagaku Moya is a very, if you like Khruangbin, for example, you will like Kikagaku Moya. They're quite similar, and they are portrayed as being similar to Goat. In a way, they are. I think Goat is a little more tribal in sounding than perhaps this band is. But anyway, yeah, Kikagaku Moyo. I think they released their last album recently, this past year, or maybe it was last year. And what they're going to be doing, I don't know. But moving on to different things. And then the second one, again, this was looking at the cover sold me on this one too. This was when I saw the cover, I decided, I got to have this. And didn't know anything about this band. Alton Gun, and the album is On. So this is made of half the group are Turkish expats living in the Netherlands, and then the other half of the group are native Hollanders. And it is psychedelic music that employs Turkish song structures and rhythms, sometimes instrumentation. I've got a couple of their albums. So the songs are, you can see, they're all in Turkish. All right.
Yeah.
It,
Okay,
but
interesting. That sounds very interesting album. I
yeah,
have to check that one out.
and they're coming to Chicago this summer. I already have tickets to go see their
Of course.
show. So yeah, Alton Gun. Really
I like
good.
the artwork.
The newest album is, I would say, it's kind of their weakest one. But this one, and there's another one that they released a couple of years ago, are very good ones. So yeah, so
Somebody heard of them.
yeah, somebody that knows about them. And
Something good.
the other one, as the table turns, that I showed was the Kikagaku Moyo, which is on the Guru Brain label. I would, again, if you like Eastern Asian musical styles and instrumentation, and you like psychedelic rock, I mean, it's very much like 60s psychedelic rock. The Guru Brain label, to me, you can't go wrong with it. I've got records I have some from a Taiwanese band, and I have another one that's from a Thai band. That one is very lo-fi, intentionally so, but you can definitely, I go back to Krung Bin. If you like Krung Bin, you're going to like the music on this label. All right then, Tommy.
Yeah, okay. We have to slow down a little bit. I have a couple Doom albums. Yes, Swedish Besvärjelsen, that's mean Conjuring, and the album name is Valmo, and that seems to be named Popy. It's this flower thing.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure about that. I just used Google Translator for this one. But this is excellent doom metal album. The band is like here. This is their first album, 2018, and just noticed that they have a new album, 2022, that I didn't know. I have to check it tomorrow.
Female vocals?
Yes, female vocals, and there's a couple of very good songs. The best of the songs. Maybe my favorite songs almost 2018 was Return to No Return, and then one song in Swedish, I skuggan av ditt mörker, and Under en svart himmel. It's like under the dark sky, and another one is in forest av ditt mörker. In forest with your darkness or something like that. My Swedish is a little bit rusty now. But this is excellent band. Too bad I haven't seen them live. They haven't been in Finland at least.
You said they're from Sweden?
Yeah, the Swedish band. Yes.
Swedish, yeah.
Yeah.
Swedish Doom.
Yes, Swedish Doom, and this is excellent and excellent fun. And of course, I hear Doom metal legend Stoner.
Oh yeah.
Eve's Return album from 2018, and they have 2017 one-sided maxi single, and also.
See, are they Doom or are they Stoner? Are they Stoner or are they Doom?
I think they are more in Doom side anyway.
Yeah.
It started in their Stoner side, but I count them as Doom metal.
I wonder if Richard would like that kind of stuff. I don't know. Like, it's maybe too heavy metal for you, eh, Richard?
No, I don't. When it comes to something like stoner rock or hard rock or something like that, no, I like
Black Sabbath kind of.
Well, I like the early Black Sabbath. I was never a fan of later Black Sabbath,
Yeah.
and that kind of and some of the other splinters that developed from that. But I mean, but yeah, early Black Sabbath, Blue Oyster Cult. I like Blue Oyster Cult.
Well, Sleep is a modern band. That's just modern production, but they're a big name. I mean, they're still going.
Very, very, very good and slow riffing, and they continue the same riffs very long time.
Yeah, like 10-minute songs.
Yeah, there are one song in two sides, four-sided album, and the 6 songs together. So long songs here, but I prefer that Swedish band Besvärjelsen a lot more than this.
Yeah.
This is not as good record like Holy Mountain or
right. I sold my Sleep. I had some Sleep and I sold it. I just never played it.
So how did they fit in with something like Hawkwind or?
They're heavier.
Heavier. Yeah, that's fine. I mean,
they're more modern. It's a groove thing. I don't know if you have to smoke weed to listen to it, or do you just put it on in the background and do some work while it's playing in the background? It's long, man. I don't know if I can commit to like a 20-minute song, you know? That's my thing.
No, I can. So that sounds more like Black Angels or
Hypnotic Riffs. Eddie said
Impala.
There is a hypnotic element to it.
Yeah.
Not
much singing in the Sleep records.
No, not much. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, he said hypnotic riffs. But yeah, I do. I can listen to that. I like that music. I've got a few records that fall into that genre. I'm pretty broad-minded when it comes to different genres and subgenres of music. It's just a couple things that I can't listen to. In the Cookie Monster,
well, it doesn't have Cookie Monster. Yeah. Doom doesn't. It has clean vocals or whatever, or no vocals sometimes. Yeah.
And as long as I feel like the performers know how to play their instruments, I'm okay.
These dudes can play. That's for sure.
See, I'm the opposite. I don't want them to know how to play. That raw shit. Yeah. Punk.
Yeah. All right, Jason, what do you got?
Okay, I'll get into vinyl now. I've got some experimental stuff. Speaking of records that you don't play every single day, this is a really cool record. This is called Saudi, and it's actually a soundtrack. There's a movie behind this somewhere. I've never seen it, but really small movie. It's Krikor Kuchian is the artist. And originally this came out in cassette, I think, but then it was put out by my favorite electronic label, Lies. Shown Lies a lot on this. Long Island Electronic Systems. And yeah, they took it on and they put out the vinyl. And it's really like, oh man, if you could see, I think you could see all the grooves on this thing, right? Little tiny songs. It's really meant to be played as a whole thing, right?
Oh yeah, it's like a true soundtrack then.
Like a score, right?
Yeah.
And it's just dark. It's really dark and a little bit menacing and ambient. And I actually talked one VC guy into buying it, Brian, Embryonic Robot. We've met up in Toronto. He's based in Toronto. And we were just doing some record shopping, and there was actually a used copy in the bin. I got mine in Europe. I've never seen this record locally anywhere. In fact, the sleeve that I'm putting it back into says 27 CHF. I paid 27 CHF.
That's a Swiss franc.
It's a Swiss franc, yeah. That's a very expensive country. I don't know if you've ever been to Switzerland, but wow.
I have been there, 2008 or.
Yeah, that's where I think I bought a $20 sandwich, which was just like, a slice of cheese and a slice of ham, and that's it, like no mustard. Yeah. I got another experimental record, also from a New York-based label, stateside, but the artist is British, Drew McDowell and Hiro Kone. So Drew McDowell, of course, Coil, member of Coil. So if I'm playing the Stunty role today, if Stunty was here, you would have comments on this. But it's on Bank Records, which was a cool label. I've showed some Bank before, which was like really raw, like kind of techno. electronic label. This one is more quiet and ambient again. I don't really play ambient music that often. Like, I got to be kind of in the mood. It's more of a late night thing too, right?
Or really stoned.
Or really stoned. Yeah, and I don't do drugs. I'm like straight edge now. I don't even drink alcohol. Like, what the hell's going on? Okay, last one. I'm going to show
You're
last
old.
one. I'm old, exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, after a certain age, man, you got to watch what you do to your body.
Yeah. I don't drink either.
You're going to feel it.
He says as he drinks a carbonated
Non-alcoholic.
Carbonated water.
Non-alcoholic.
beverage. Yes.
Water. Okay, I've talked about this artist, I think before. I'm pretty sure before. This is the fake artist. This is Ursula Bogner. These are the fake recordings of 1969 to 1988. So again, really fun, modular synth kind of electronic album. And I got to actually see these guys perform. So it's really like Jan Jelnik of Germany and Andrew Peckler, I think is American or something. So two electronic artists. They decided to create this project called Ursula Bogner. And it's like this storyline about this fake German lady who's living in like upstate New York, and they found these like old recordings, of her stuff, because a lot of the female side of electronic music was not very well represented, right? It's kind of like visual art, right? Like we know all the masters and they're all men, right? But what about the women? We're just making just as cool shit. Anyway, in this case, it's all fake, but it's really cool. Yeah. So
I remember. I think you talking about this before, this like project or whatever that these people were behind.
And I saw it live, so that's when the big reveal was. I think until like they went on stage, people were kind of wondering, like, is this real?
And again, I just did a quick look in Discogs, and the only thing under Ursula Wagner there's two records. One's a cassette, a single-sided cassette.
Yeah.
From 1982, and then the other one is called Desirens, something like that. But that one, that one didn't show up. So either it's like super rare, and it hasn't even been entered into Discogs, or I'm just looking in the wrong place.
Well, I think you're looking at the wrong one, because the one I see on Discogs, it says lived 1946 to 1994, German pharmacist, artist, and musician. She attended courses with Hermann Emmett.
All right, I need to look up.
Long after, Jan Jelnik met her son by chance and learned of her mother's hobby, finally publishing a compilation of these cassettes. Is it a real person? I don't know, man. Maybe. The mystery continues.
Be another one. So, because there's maybe send me the link and then I can look it up.
I will. Yeah, I'll put the link in the thing.
Okay. Was that all you were for this round?
That's my round. Yep.
All right. So, going back to, I was talking about how Kikugaku Moyo was similar to, for example, Krongden. Well, that's the next record I'm going to show is Krongden. Which I'm going to remove the shrink. I don't know why I didn't remove the shrink from this before. There we go. So this is Con Todo El Mundo. So if you're unfamiliar with Krongden, this is this trio from, of all places, Austin, Texas. Okay. And but their music is very much influenced by Thai rock and funk. And so the instrumentation, again, is often similar to Thai, which you would hear in Thailand. And but it's just really amazing. They've been putting out quite a few records. I think they're up to maybe six releases now. I do have a tab open here of their discography. So 1, 2, 3, 5. They have 5 releases. Their latest one was 2022. Con Todo El Mundo is their second release from 2019. I have that. I have The Universe Smiles Upon You, which is their their debut, and then Mordecai, which was released in 2020. But yeah, it is really quite amazing. Houston, they're not from Austin. I think they're from Houston. But which it's weird how, you think of a state like Texas and how some of these really interesting and progressive bands are coming out of Texas. But, you get in the Houston, Austin area, it's a different world compared to the rest of the state. So, and then kind of sticking with a somewhat similar, but going in a more alt country direction. Again, haven't taken the shrink off of this. I need to remove the shrink. Is this Seattle band called the Moondoggies. So this was a group that I had some time while I was in the Seattle airport. I was out there on a business trip in Seattle, and I had an hour or so before my flight. And Sub Pop Records has a store in the Seattle airport. And you can, they have a setup where, they have whatever records that they have available for sale, and every single record you can listen to and hear, what they sound like. So I actually bought quite a few records. But so, yeah, this is kind of, as I say, kind of an alt country rock. So they have a feel similar to, groups perhaps like New Riders of the Purple Sage or Mason Prophet, if we go back, to the 70s. But they have also the newer sound that you might also hear in a band like the Jayhawks or something like that. It's really, it is West Coast mountain kind of psychedelic rock. I have two of their releases. Very simple cover, just this little girl looking at these Christmas lights in a crate, and then it's just all black. It is, yeah, I really, really enjoy it, and I never see the Moondoggies in anywhere else. The only place I've ever seen them, I'm sure you can find them in Discogs and in that, but it's got a lyric sheet, and then it's got on the insertion of Puget Sound. So the name of this, I did not mention the name of the album. All right, so this is the Moondoggies. A Love Sleeps Deep is the name of the album. A Love Sleeps Deep. And yeah, really nice. I kind of want to say it's kind of mellow, but it's rock though. It's it is a very, very nice blend of country rock and psychedelia. Really good stuff. So that's why I paired the Khruangbin and the Moondoggies together. Not to be confused with Moondog. That's something completely different.
I think I heard of Moondog. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a legend from like the 1940s and 50s.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, which I have just Moondog releases.
I was commenting that we're missing some Juliana Hatfield right about now from Chris Record Talk.
Yes.
We did get some Car Seat Headrest. I will probably remember that band for a while.
Yes.
From these. And all from your get some Ace of Base.
Oh, by the way, I wanted to show with the Moondoggies the very cool vinyl.
Oh, wow. Psychedelic.
So it's clear red, transparent red with some streaks in it. And then, of course, the label is just this like total.
Yeah, those Labels are cool, man.
Yeah.
That's freaky. That'd be cool. Techno label. Imagine if that was a techno record. I like that label.
Yeah. All right then, Tommy, what you got?
Okay, I have couple more Doom albums here, and first I'd like to start with this Finnish band Mansion that I have previously also mentioned, but this is their first full record, the first death of Lutheran is the name of the album, and I take it this time because they have just out their second album that I have mentioned. It's the best doom metal album for 2023, and this is first edition, limited to 50 copies, quite handmade covers here, and including all notes for their followers, and this is actually released later by I Hate Records, Swedish record company that is specialty in, I think they have death metal and black metal and
I have some stuff.
Anyway, metal type of music anyway, but this is pure doom metal.
Well, that is a cool cover, man. That looks fucking crazy. That looks like a weird movie.
Yeah, this is, they have quite Alma have quite good performance in their concerts, and when I bought this album, I was a little disappointed back then, but now I listened to it again after the second Death album, and this is quite good.
Does the music stand up to that cover? Because that's a killer cover.
Yeah, it stand up.
Hard to match. Yeah.
Pretty slow, and they have quite nice lyrics there.
Doomy? Nice lyrics. Is that Doomy as well?
Doom, yes, Doomy, yes. Yeah, pure doom metal. And then I have European split album by Slowmatics from Ireland, and then Mammoth Weed Wizard Bastard. You are pretty sure that it's going to be doom metal when the name of the band is Mammoth Weed Wizard Bastard, and it's from Wales. So this is a very good doom album there in the sludgier side of doom metal, I think. And this Mammoth Weed Wizard Bastard, they have quite many songs in Welsh, and that seems to be a lot more difficult language than in Finnish.
The Welsh language.
You can't read those names.
Isn't that where the town with the longest name with the
and there's that consonants after consonants there only, and no vowels in between, so pretty difficult looking language, but this is pretty good split album. These Slowmatics have done quite many of those splits, and they are going to release, I think, one split more. I don't remember what the another band is. I read it, but I've forgotten it. So sooner later in this spring. Excellent band if you are in doom metal. This one also.
All right. That it?
Yeah, that is.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So then bring us back to you, Jason.
All right. I'll do some synthwave for this round. There's a couple of artists from LA, from West Coast. Big synthwave scene in LA, of course. Very cool city too. I didn't like the first time I went to LA. I was like, man, it's so spread out. You need a car to get around anywhere. It's like the opposite of New York. You know, it's not Manhattan, that's for sure. But I got 3 vinyls here, and if you want to make me big, go for it.
Sorry, I'm asleep at the wheel.
Okay, so first group I'm going to show is a duo, Boy Harsher, and completely found this band by accident. Wife and I were traveling from LA. We're actually driving up from LA up to San Fran, and we like to make this little pit stop in Santa Cruz, great little beach town or whatever on the outskirts of San Fran. And we're walking down the street, and I see on the billboard like tonight, Boy Harsher's performing. I'm like, wait a minute, I've heard that name before. Let's go check it out. Turned out to be a sick concert, and I bought like 3 records on the spot that night from from the band. I heard of them, but I never really heard them until then. So yeah, it's a guy on synthesizers, does kind of the music side, and then female vocals duo. And they performed in Canada a few times. I'm sure they performed in Chicago. Don't know if they've ever been out to Finland. But this is their 2018 release called Lesser Man. And the tracks on here: Lust, Run, Love, Spell, Pain. It's all one word titles. But yeah, if you're into like good synth waves, so it's not synth pop. It's not like Human League. It's more like maybe a little bit of Depeche Mode, kind of a non-wee to it, and a little bit of goth in the vocals. Very cool shit. Also, synthwave is
what was the name of that duo again?
Boy Harsher.
Boy Harsher. Okay.
Yeah, I highly recommend it. I never like people come into my shop looking for Boy Harsher all the time, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't have any. It's all for me. I kept all the records. Santa Cruz. Yeah, I love Santa Cruz, man. I can't wait to go back there. There's a couple cool record shops there too. Next artist is Silent Servant. Whose real name is what is it now? Juan Mendez. He's originally from Central America and then brought up in Los Angeles. Really cool artist. Haven't seen a lot of output from him since 2018, though, to be honest. So he put out this album, Shadows of Death and Desire, which some people complained on Discogs that it's a little short for an album. I got it at Amoeba for $23 US. And have never regretted it. It's just a great release. And I also got this single too. This is the single from it, Hand in Hand, Harm in Hand. It's called. I think these came with like big posters and stuff. It's on the Hospital Productions label out of New York, which Vatican Shadow runs. That's a really good industrial label. So again, sort of like some of that synth dark wave stuff. Cool shit to listen to. Wish there was more product from these bands, I guess, but it's not. Maybe it's not that easy.
Boy Harsher has a lot of singles and EPs. Only 3 albums.
Yeah, they're great. And if he ever performs, definitely worth going to see. It was kind of funny because we went to this concert. It was packed. Like it was a small club kind of size, and everybody in the audience knew all the songs. Like they were singing all the lyrics. And my wife and I were like, "Oh man, we gotta get some of this stuff. It's really good." Last but not least, I will show another electronic artist. This is Gunnar Haslam, and the Kavlanic Languages album. So Gunnar is like this dude from New York, usually on Lies Records. This one is not on Lies, and he seemed to have done a series of like different like languages, different foreign languages, I guess, maybe indigenous languages. And so this is in that series, but it's pretty much just kind of left field techno, interesting sort of techno. Nothing too spectacular. I wouldn't say he's not on the level of Coil or anything, but not a bad little record. 4 tracks. So I got that in 2018 too. Everything I'm showing is like I got it in 2018. Jorgen, I have some metal. Next round is going to be back to metal. I promise you, Jorgen.
Right. Well, my next 2 here are sort of a similar post-punk, alt-rock type of music. And the first one, it was actually the main. It was the second time I went to see Mdu Mukhtar here in Chicago. And in this particular show, Mdu Mukhtar was the opening act. The headliner was this band that I really never heard anything before, Parquet Courts. And this is the album Wide Awake. And their show was really good. So good that I bought 2 records. This one is, I don't think this is 2018, so this is not their the newest one that they were touring. The other one that I bought at the show was the newest one that they were touring for. But they played a lot of songs from this record, and like you were saying, Jason, everybody in the crowd was so familiar with this record that they were singing along with the songs or whatever. But yeah, they build their songs are, some of them are synth wavy, and some of them are very post punk, post rock. So it's a fairly versatile band, but they're really talented musicians as well, and yeah, their songwriting is really quite good. Really was very impressed, and I wasn't at the show for them. I was there because I wanted to watch the opening act, but it was a good show. And then the other band I have here is a band from Illinois, from Champaign-Urbana, where the University of Illinois is located. And they were very big in the 90s. At that time, with the post-rock and sort of, in the emergence of grunge and also math rock developing at that time. And that was the band Poster Children. All right. And their album that they probably hit it really big with was Daisy Chain Reaction, which got a lot of play on MTV, and particularly on that was the first time I heard it was on the show 120 Minutes, and that's right. Yeah, Salinas and Steinbeck Country were the novels like the far, or no, what is that called? Not the Far Tortugas, but anyway, East of Eden and those. But they came out of retirement, so to speak, in 2018 to do this album, Grand Bargain. And they were prompted, as I understand, from reading about the album, is the former president's administration here is what prompted them to come out and do a record. And it was like they never missed anything. It was like right back into what they were doing with Daisy Chain Reaction and also with the subsequent album, Junior Citizen. And it is just really good. Again, it's not alternative rock. It's post-punk. It's post-rock. It's noise rock. It's like grunge. It is good. And we've got some good songs like World's Insane, Devil in the Gun, Hippie Hills. And the one thing that does kind of annoy me is, okay, so here's the lyric sheet. All right, I got old man eyes. It's like,
you're never reading that. You're not going to read that.
Like, yeah, really. And I do imbibe in different variety of, substances from time to time. And so there's no way I'm going to be reading, reading this. But I'm trying to see if this was color. No, it's black vinyl that I got. But anyway, yeah, if you haven't heard of Poster Children, really just about every one of their releases is good and worth having, especially if you like that they do they walk the line. It's a little bit grunge, but very post rock and noise rock, and a little shoegazy too, because the lyrics, not so much on this record, but the lyrics, the singing is like the way it's recorded. It's at the same level of all the instruments, or even a little bit behind the instruments. So you really have to sometimes pay attention to catch what's being said because of all the noise that's being created with the other instruments. So So, okay, one of the members has a book out, so it's a good read. I was unaware of that, so check it out. And yes, these are all the books I was trying. Tortilla Flats. That was I don't know why I was thinking of Tortuga, but tortilla, whatever. It's funny how sometimes the brain works that way. But anyway, Poster Children, check them out. I recommend it.
That's probably something Chris Record Talk is probably into as well. Anything post rock, indie rock, noise rock. I don't know.
All right then, Tommy, what you got?
Yeah, okay. I end my session with Finnish progressive rock from 2018. This is the third album by Sammal. Sammal means moss, and I just tried to figure out what's in the cover, and it's like bird, and maybe it's like bike here. It's difficult to see what is in the cover. But they are doing modern progressive rock. There are many great Finnish progressive rock band in 70s, like Tasavallan Presidentti and Wigwam and Tolonen and others, but I have never been on those, and I have only these modern counterparts here. But they do quite peaceful music, very good instrumentations and synthesizers and etc. And they have also songs in Swedish, some songs, because at least the singer is originally Swedish speaking, and the latest album last year have also some songs in English.
I like the cover. Is that a fish?
Yeah, there's like fish here in the up, and then the bird.
Okay.
I don't know what's the bird name. It's haikara.
Oh, like a gull, like a seagull, or something like that.
Seagull,
or albatross.
Yeah, something like that. And this single song is here, Suuliekki. It's like most flame. It's the 7-inch singlet that had a little bit different in the 7-inch than in this album. I have both versions of that. But this is, if you like progressive rock, modern wave, very good production values here. Excellent band.
I like some prog rock as long as it doesn't get too hung up on itself.
Yeah, that I think these guys are not, because the songs are still, they are like 3 to 5 minutes long, not like one song. There are like 9 songs in this album.
Yeah.
Excellent band. Hopefully I see them live, but because this was this corona pandemium, no gigs, and then when they have announced some gigs in Helsinki, always someone was sick there, so they are canceled many times, at least 3 times. But I was going there, all canceled, and hopefully sometime soon with some another.
Tommy, do you ever travel over to Sweden to shows like in Stockholm, or
no?
Too far, or how far is that?
You had to take plane or take boat trip there. No, it's only like 1 hour flight.
Right.
But still, I don't think that any band is that's important to me that I take a
fly to see them.
To see them, and then you have to like couple nights in a hotel or something like that. You have to, of course, you have the time to get record shop and etc.
Yeah.
Right. There's always that extra expense when you travel that you got to cover.
Yeah. So
the visit like to the record store.
Yeah. So you buy the tickets to show, it's like 30 euros, and then flights and hotel is 1,000 euros. And it's no band is so important.
You mentioned, how the pandemic really kind of, interrupted things so much. I mean, there were some shows that I was really looking forward to going to see of Car Seat Headrest. But then during the tour that I did see a couple shows on, Will Toledo ended up getting COVID, and it just really messed him up. His recovery has been so long, and so they've been off. They had to cancel all their other bookings, and they were going to be at a huge festival in on the East Coast, and then they were going to be at a huge festival in Las Vegas, but they had to cancel those, and so looking forward to some of these guys getting back out on the road.
And now when there's this war between Russia and Ukraine, it means that no bands are going to Russia, and that means all the bigger bands leave Finland out. They go to Sweden and then to Central Europe, but they leave Finland out because usual way was in Sweden, then they go to Finland in Helsinki, and then
St. Petersburg,
St. Petersburg and Moscow, and from there they go back to the Central Europe. But
I just discovered a Russian artist that is really, maybe you guys know this. Let me get the record. Have you heard of this guy Screw?
No.
He's electronic, sort of techno dance.
So it's Jason stuff then.
Yeah, my wheelhouse.
Time. It's
I mean, there's some Russian DJs, and of course they got a lot of hate recently, right? Like no one wants to book them,
right?
And some of them were kind of pro Putin a little bit too. So
I don't know what this guy's politics are, and I didn't even know he was Russian until after I bought it. But he's, but yeah, he's still in Russia. He's still, does. He's, I guess, a resident DJ at some big club in Moscow. So yeah, he may be facing some fallout because of that.
Also, it must be really hard to be club DJ in Russia because I mean, like they're so homophobic too, right? So there's the gay scene must be like it's super underground for Russia.
Yeah.
It's like being gay in Africa. I mean, like some countries, no, not safe. Not safe.
You're just putting the target on the back of your head.
Yeah.
But hey, I say you goodbye for this evening. It was fun.
All right. Hey, thanks, Tommy.
We see you next week.
Yeah. Thanks
Tommy,
for joining us, Tommy.
Okay.
Always fun.
Yes.
Good night.
Check out his channel at Tommy's Vinyl Log.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so what do you got, Jason? And you and
I could do like 2 rounds
here.
Yeah, I got a couple
2 rounds.
Yeah, I got a couple more. Yeah.
Okay, well, I got more than 2, so I got 1, 2. I got 3, so that'll work. I can still. All right.
Yeah. So too bad Tommy had to run for my metal section.
Oh yeah.
my metal minute. I think I'll start off by reading the hype sticker of this next release, and this will just wet your whistle here. Putrid death metal! ! From rotting minds and necromaniacs.
Oh boy.
Sounded tasty. Punishing second album by these Quebec City horror masters. So Canadian death metal coming here. Sung in French for fans of Autopsy, Nihilist, and Bolt Thrower. And I do know those bands. They probably don't mean a lot to your audience, but they might actually be overselling it a little bit. Outre-Tombe is the band. Outre-Tombe. Other
interesting cover. I mean, I love the artwork with a lot of these bands.
Oh, yeah, the metal artwork.
I can't stand the way they sound when they're singing.
It's so detailed. This artwork is really cool, man. Look at these bands. Oh, these rough guys. Straight out of Quebec. I've actually got 3 albums by this band. They've been a little bit prolific. So, yeah, it's on a Montreal label, I think. Temple of Mystery. Just good. Doomy a little bit. Death metal. Cookie Monster, though.
Yeah.
Getting in the Cookie Monster. Not only Cookie Monster, but they're also singing in sort of slang French. So you're not going to understand a lot of that. Then I got a classic metal band that I'm sure you know, Saxon. You must have heard of Saxon.
Yeah, I know of them. Yeah.
Back in the day. And I just watched in the VC, there was a huge, on Friday night, there's a huge metal VC channel I watch, Marty Worm, Heavy Metallurgy, really fun. Every Friday night they dissect either a band or whatever, a theme. They dissected the whole catalog of Saxon, and there were like 26 albums by this band. And one guy on their panel, he's a Canadian, Darcy, actually showed a vinyl copy of every single album. That is commitment.
Wow.
I, on the other hand, only have about 4 Saxon records. I have a couple of their classics from the 80s, 70s. And then I have this one.
A while.
Yeah, and I have this from 2018. Now, here's the deal. I actually saw them live in 2018. They're still going. Biff is the lead singer, and they were really good. They were opening act for Judas Priest, and I almost want to say I enjoyed them more than Priest because here's the thing. Here's the but. It's because I had never seen Priest live, and I had built them up so much in my mind. And then I'm seeing them kind of late in the career, right, when a lot of the energy is waning. And I had no expectations for Saxon, right? I was like, whatever. Heard of them, classic band. Let's see. And they put on a good show. They do Denim and Leather and all that. This album is a really pretty great comeback record, but they've been putting out records for years. And they got a really nice tribute song on here to Motorhead, actually, called They Played Rock and Roll. Because Lemmy of Motorhead would always come on stage and say, we're a rock and roll band. He didn't really say heavy metal. He would just say rock and roll.
Right.
But it was heavy. So, and then last but not least,
what you said about expectations. I mean,
yeah,
it's one of my mantras that every single one of our disappointments can be traced to an inappropriate expectation.
Totally. I thought you were going to say my mantra. My mantra in life is always have low expectations.
Right. Yeah. Don't expect anything, because then you're never disappointed. You'll often be wonderfully surprised.
Yeah. You're like, oh my God, bonus. But if you expect a lot, you're going to be disappointed. And the last one for this round is a band called Neckrot. And they are doomy death metal as well from the States.
Wow, I got big on. Never would have given that away.
No, you never would have. and somebody offering a baby up for sacrifice. I mean, religious connotations here. Opens up with a track called The Blade, another song called Blood Offerings. Yeah, you know where this is going. They're kind of a little bit satanic in death metal. Necrot. They've got a couple other releases now. Yeah, that's a little metal minute for Jurgen. That was especially for Jurgen.
Okay. So do you have 1 or 2 more rounds?
I can do 2 more rounds.
Okay, then
I got 4 records. I can split them up 2 and 2.
Okay, so then I have 1. All right, so I can go back to my 3. I was just rearranging my records here, so I could do 2 more rounds, but I can do 3 and finish it with this one, the next one, and then you do your last one, and then I'll do my last one. Okay. Gotcha. So now I'm going to go to the little more world music realm.
Okay.
And this album is a new one by Kalawit Timbuktu. And the release is Hali Diallo. And these guys are like freaking crazy awesome. All right. So this instrument that they're playing, all right, is kind of carved out of it looks like a gourd, but it's a wood. All right. And then they've got just a few strings on it. So these are like very primitive handmade instruments. And then you can tell, like from this photo here, a lot of the Northwest African, particularly of the Tuareg scene and the Saharan blues scene, they use this overturned like dome percussion, for the drum, so that they beat on it like you would on congas, and for the percussion. But then you can see, all right, the instrument, and then they've got the mic, next to it. So when I'm listening to this recording, I'm thinking that this is an amplified and electronic instrument, but it is strictly an acoustic instrument, that they've got the mics right there. And seriously, the music that they are playing is just, to me, it's just mind-blowing. Now, the thing is, like it says here on side 1, it goes like intro, then a song, the title track, Hali Diallo, then Super Continue, then Abnerba. Well, it just sounds like one continuous song. and then he is speaking or like well, that's how they spell it. So I that could be, I have seen the spelling before, mostly in association with the locals. So this could be, again, this is how, well, North Africa, Northwest Africa was colonized by the French mostly. So it could be the spelling developed because of the French occupiers, whereas the Timbuktu that is the example here is more of the English, British.
Very weird
Spelling,
spelling. Yeah, I've never seen it spelled like that. The
yeah.
long version.
But anyway, yeah, this is just, it is again one of these records because I've been so really exploring, and anytime I see a record by musicians or a band from Northwest Africa, Saharan Desert in that area, I'm just I'm just really loving the music. And this is on Sahel Sounds label. So they've been doing a lot of releasing a lot of these bands that.
Yeah, you're on like a whole journey of exploration, it seems, around this era anyway, 2018. I don't know if you're still buying a lot of this kind of.
Well, yeah, anytime I see it, I'm going to buy it. I mean, I've got almost everything that's available on vinyl that's by Tanarwin. And they've been around for like ages, but because they got these record deals now, a lot of their older music is it's been recorded in a studio and it's getting around like Stunty said in one of the episodes that many of these bands they're no longer living in the desert, they're living in $1 million flats in London. But
for me, like getting into metal for me was more about a nostalgia thing, right? Like I was born a metalhead, so it's like going back to youth days. With this music, it seems like you're on this discovery path. Like there's not nostalgia for you.
And what really intrigues me about it is what I hear in this music is the origin of the blues.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah.
Because
you're connecting.
Most of the slave trade in the U.S., the Africans that were taken from their homeland, the majority of them came from Northwest Africa.
Yeah.
So from countries like Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Guinea-Bissau, that area, and because of the nomadic features, the people crossing borders, so that Tuareg in the Saharan blues style is.
You're almost like an ethnographer, like you're in ethnography.
Well, yeah, I just said one day I listened to Tanarwin, and then I played John Lee Hooker, and I'm
right.
I'm like,
I have a local buddy of mine. Well, actually, he moved to Montreal now, but he is a serious ethnographer. Like that's his study, and he's into experimental music, and he's been to Africa and like really explored different like folk traditions that like fit into experimental music, and he just loves all that stuff. And I get it. Like it's really, I love discovery too, right? It's fun. Stunty hates nostalgia apparently, but I also love nostalgia. So.
Well, yeah, he's
you got to have yin and yang.
There's a bit of truth there because like when I started record collecting, I was pretty much, my collecting was focused on getting the records that I used to listen to in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
So it was very nostalgia motivated. Yeah. But I wasn't discovering anything new. I was just going back and getting what I remember. Now, I guess that's why I've had more releases for like the later 2000s, because in that period of the late 90s and in the early 2000s, number one, I was in clubs. I was listening to club music. Yeah. So I wasn't really listening to anything else that was going on in the music scene. To me, it was club music, and I was discovering that. But also the 90s and early 2000s, there was a lot of garbage being, created at that time that I didn't want to listen to it.
It's good to take breaks too. Yeah. So you took breaks.
And starting in the mid 2000s, once I started hearing about other bands, and I had finished my nostalgia trip of recollecting all my 70s and 60s albums.
Right.
I'm buying a lot more new music.
Because you can also just buy bands that sound like the 60s and 70s too, right? Like that's my case, right? Like I collected.
But then you're becoming as derivative as the artist that you are collecting.
That's probably a good way of putting my metal collection. Yeah. Although, I mean, yeah. So once I complete like all my 80s metal that I want to get, right? But then I can turn around and find all these metal bands that sound like the 80s and like are aping the 80s, right? Like that's their whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What happened to me, and I still have one more for this round here of another world music kind of thing, but I just remember hearing, I can't remember where I read it or heard it or whatever, but somebody said that, when you get to be in your 40s and your 50s and your 60s, you've heard so much music.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard so much music that it really takes something new and different to grab your attention.
Oh, yeah.
And then, and that's kind of where I am. So, I mean, I still pick up some fairly new bands that, they're bands that like the Greenhorns, they sound like the Who and the Kinks from the late 60s and early 70s. It's good. It's enjoyable stuff.
Yeah,
Is it
fun.
Innovative? Is it carving out new directions in the music scene? No, but it's enjoyable. It's pablum in many respects. But then I hear something, like the first time I heard Mdu Mukhtar, or the first time I heard like some of these other bands that I'm going to show. I'm like, okay, now you've got my attention. This is something that I'm really interested in. But I still love I still love listening to the music of the 50s, the 60s, the 70s. It's not that I hate that. Well, like Stunny's comment here. I still enjoy listening to it because it's all part of the step. You know what I mean? I can remember in the 80s when friends of mine were like the synthwave stuff. It was like they were just mocking the hell out of synthwave because it wasn't real rock and roll. And I'm kind of thinking, but it's like the late 1980s. And it's like we've got new technology. We have new ways to make music.
Yeah.
Why not make music with electronic instrumentation as opposed to the traditional, bass guitar and drums kind of thing? That's just seemed limited. Anyway, that's my rant about music today.
Rant of the day.
But my other record that I want to show is this one here. Really simple stuff. Jake Shimabukuro. He's a ukulele player from Hawaii.
Okay.
And this is all covers that he's playing. He's famous for playing like While My Guitar Gently Weeps. He plays it on ukulele. So he's a cover artist. But he does Eleanor Rigby on here, Time of the Season. But it's just his, again, you think of that, how many of us, our first thought of the ukulele is that this is a silly little child's instrument, that maybe you give a kid to see if they're going to be interested in playing guitar.
Although it did become trendy briefly, right, with the indie hipsters.
Well, I mean, even you had Tiny Tim when I was a kid.
I remember Tiny Tim. I like Tiny Tim.
So
that's some weird shit.
But it is, it is a legitimate instrument that you can do a lot of things with. And there are just like there are different types of guitars, there are different types of ukuleles.
Yeah.
And it's just a whole different thing. And I just have a really great appreciation for it. This is
like
this
folk
is
music.
kind of like, maybe it's the Ray Conniff of the 21st century kind of music. It's easy listening. It's covers. It's new orchestrations of older songs that we're familiar with. But hey, I like it. It's a good record to put on once in a while, and have out there. He's a really talented musician. He's played in Chicago several times, and I never find out about it in time enough to be able to get a ticket. But he's based in Hawaii, and there's another ukulele artist in Hawaii that I'm really interested in because of the way his career. He's very young. He's still a kid, but his parents have really managed his exposure really well, and he's now in high school. He's going to become a world-class guitar player on the pop music stage. So you want to keep your eyes out for Feng Yi. He's gonna be taking the world by storm, I think. But anyway, those are my two records. I got two more rounds. So and you have two more rounds, right?
Yep, sure.
Okay.
Quickies.
Well, there we go. What do you got?
Yeah, that was pretty polar opposite of some of the stuff I've been showing, but yeah. Ukulele is probably polar opposite of club music, I would say too. Yep. Not many club songs.
I don't know
with
too many
ukulele.
club songs where the ukulele is featured.
I mean, I do have a collection that's big enough that I guess if you were to challenge me, I'm sure I could find some records that have a ukulele on it. The only thing that comes to mind would be Jonathan Richman. So Jonathan Richman did a couple things, I think, in the late 70s. He has a record that has a lot of Hawaiian folk songs on it. And I think there's ukulele on the Hawaiian folk songs. That would be my only ukulele. Yeah. I'll do some punk for this round.
All right.
I got two punk records. They're not hardcore punk either. These are two records that I think even you or Chris Record Talk would probably dig. I mean, they're pretty accessible. Like they're not like super underground or hard to listen to. This band is called the CIA. It's on In the Red, which is a great label for indie punk and like rock stuff. I think it's a LA label actually, and it's got these two guys in it. I think this is Ty Segall. So this is a Ty Segall project again. I don't know if you've heard of Ty Segall at this point.
The name seems familiar.
It's going to keep coming up a lot. It's like he's like the Jack White of indie punk. He created like 10 different bands, maybe more. So he's all over this project. And I think this is like a one and done, the CIA. I liked it so much.
Label?
I don't know if he runs a label, but he's definitely in a lot of bands. Ty Segall. It's like T.Y. Segall. And Segall is how he spells Ty Segall. So this is one of his projects, and they're all really good. They're kind of like garagey rock a little bit, garagey punk. Modern though, it's like a modern production. Like it's not like I'm listening to the Cramps, but it would be like a 2018 version of garage rock. I liked it so much I actually bought 2 copies of this record at one point and sold one in my shop. So there's that. And then also on the garagey rock kind of punk tip, these guys out of my original hometown, Moncton, coming out of the east coast of New Brunswick of Canada, Phone Jerks. Just the Phone Jerks. And they're kind of fun, kind of kooky a little bit. I got to see them live, and I think I bought the record at the show. It's on a German label, actually, Alien Snatch. They got a release on a German label. Yeah, Ty Segall is very prolific. Somebody put in the comments. But yeah, this record is really fun, Phone Jerks. Again, I don't think I really like the production a lot, and the mastering is just a little bit too digital modern for my take. I'd like the record to breathe a little bit more. I think there's some breathing problems, but I'm just being picky.
Is it like a Steve Albini mix?
No. I mean, I don't think they got anything pro, but it's not super lo-fi either. It's just probably like a proper mix. I guess that's probably the problem.
Oh, that's right. Because you said earlier you like your musicians to not know what the hell they're doing.
Yeah, like weirder stuff. These guys actually sound like they could probably play. So yeah. Sorry. But yeah, really, it's a fun record.
It sounds interesting. Yeah.
It's not going to blow you. It's like what we were talking about earlier, a little bit derivative. Like there's nothing special going on, I don't think.
But you're not going to hate it.
No.
Yeah.
I'll keep it in the collection for now.
Yeah.
I don't have any nostalgic connection to this band, right? They weren't from the 80s. They're a newer band.
Right. Yeah. I was just looking them up. And like you say, yeah, it was recorded in Germany and and they're listed as garage rock and punk. So Alien Snatch Records.
I'd probably like it better if it was like on a cassette and just like a dirty kind of loose recording, a live recording of this band. I'd probably dig more.
What the hell
So I got one more round for you.
Okay. So I will get to mine then for my next to last round. I am moving back to sort of a jazzier and jazzy post-rock kind of combination. The first one is represents pretty much a jazz guitar, and this is Tommy Guerrero, and the album is Road to Nowhere. And it's just very it's just I like it. I think it's a little better than, it's not derivative, even though it's not necessarily creating new grounds, but it is something a little bit different than your standard, what most people probably think of with jazz guitar. It's different enough that you don't feel like you're listening to Django Reinhardt or something like that. It's although the influence of somebody is phenomenal as Django Reinhardt is there, but it's Tommy. But the other thing Tommy Guerrero does is he infuses. I have another Tommy Guerrero record where he infuses a lot of funk into the mix. And
is he doing samples? It looks like Stunty's saying he was on Mowax, so or he plays guitar or he plays instruments.
Used to be a pro skater, stuff on Mowax in the early thousands. I don't know. This is not sampled material. The other one that I have sounds like this. I have no problem putting in with my other jazz records. When I picked up the other record of his, which is actually an earlier one, I think, I was like, oh, this isn't jazz. This is definitely funk and a little hip hop to it, and a little lo-fi even, and so it like confounded me for a moment, and I thought, all right, this is my first Tommy Guerrero record. It's jazz, so I'm filing them all in jazz. The only person I have completely split apart is Jack Bruce, because the Jack Bruce record I have is this other one that I got recently is pure jazz, pure jazz fusion, where his other solo stuff is definitely rock. All right, so that he's the only one I've completely separated because of that.
I'm gonna check him out. I see his Bandcamp. I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna check him out.
Yeah. And then,
like the name of the title of the album is a Talking Head song, right? Road to Nowhere, isn't that?
It's they have a song named I would say I don't think it's any kind of homage to that song or to the Talking Heads. I think Road to Nowhere is a fairly common euphemism. But also, the cover really intrigued me because I can remember traveling on a highway in Nevada, northern Nevada, where
Yeah.
that's what the road looked like. It was just this long line of blacktop that reached to the horizon, and there was like nothing in the landscape. It was like that.
That's kind of bleak. Yeah.
So the next one is another Japanese band, and I can move. I don't know why I got the shrink still on it. In fact, the shrink is starting to cling. I don't want that to happen because that'll ruin my cover.
Yeah.
But this is another band that I'm very infatuated with, Mouse on the Keys. So this is now I've talked about the band Toe. Toe is a Japanese math rock band that is, very much guided by the drumming. But then they have two guitarists. Then they have a bass player and bring in some others. Mouse on the Keys is also that genre, but instead of two guitarists, they have two keyboardists. So it's a little more on maybe the jazzy side. It's like math jazz, I mean, because of the different polyrhythms that are still going on because of the percussion. And their albums are hard to find. They're not quite as, this is a Top Shelf record, which Top Shelf has been releasing Toe. And so they're now easier to find. The Mouse on the Key catalog is not quite as available in North America yet. There's been a few of these newer records, but the other records that I would love to get by them are still, it's like a Japanese vendor, and now we're talking a pricier record, and then you've got the added cost of shipping. But it is, this one's got a couple songs on here that are vocals. The name of the album is Trey, like Tres. There you can finally see it, how it shows up on the record. And it's a color variant. It's been happening a lot with many of the Japanese bands. This color variant here. So yeah, math jazz, because it's math. I initially kind of qualified them as math rock, post rock, but because it's keyboard centric as opposed to guitar centric, it really has more of a jazz fusion feel to it. But the polyrhythms that are going on with the percussion, it's still, everything is anchored by the maniacal drumming that is going on with their drummer. So, but if you like, if you're familiar with Toe, but you're also like bands like Polvo, well, not so much Polvo, maybe Polvo. Which one am I thinking of? But Don Caballero, which are more of the post-rock, math rock, because they're more guitar-centric. I think you would like Mouse on the Keys as well, even though it's more keyboard-centric. It's just a little, at least it's been my experience, they're a little more difficult to find and priced higher than your average domestic record might be priced.
Okay.
All right.
Well, I got a couple things that were bought from imports for sure on that segue. So I got, for my last round, I've got two experimental records. Both of them were bought overseas, I think. Same trip. Another one bought in Switzerland and another one bought maybe in Greece. We were traveling back then, before the pandemic, right? 2018. The first one is this one. Really nice cover art. I love the artwork on this thing. And they printed it as well on digital print. And the artist's name is Bare Bones Lay Low. Almost thought it was a split at first because you got the comma between the two names. So I'm like, what the hell's going on here? Yeah, it's just experimental, ambient drone, a little bit psychedelic and cosmic, it says, according to the Bandcamp. And this artist has got quite a few releases over the years. Artist is from Brussels, Belgium. And yeah, they've been pretty active since this record. This is 2018. Let's see, did they have something in 2022, 23? Yep. November 2022 is the most recent release from them. I think they're putting out like kind of tapes and stuff, but this is a vinyl. And it looks like it's completely, I think it's listed as just like a self-release. Like it's not on a label or anything. It came with some more artwork. An interesting record. Put that in the category of interesting records. Not going to rock it every day. Stunty maybe Stunty even knows this record. I don't know. Bare Bones, Lay Low. Experimental electronic stuff. Very cool. That's sometimes you feel kind of like you're cheating. You know what I mean? Like these records, they feel like this is like, it's like when you have those, like, this is a cool thing to have. But then somebody's like, do you ever listen to it? You're like, nah, I never listened to it. Just cool. I will say it's very hard to collect stuff like that. But
you got to listen to it at least once, right? Though, because
I've probably only listened to that album maybe 5 times since 2018.
Okay, all right.
It's really hard to collect things. When you have a collection this size, right? Like I've got 8,000 records. I need to get rid of some, right?
Well, yeah.
It's like, do you collect something you listen to? Yeah, if you listen to it twice, like, do you really want to keep that?
Yeah, but then, you always know that you have it. So if the time ever comes up that you do want to listen to it, you know you have it.
Yeah, there's always that. Yeah, I'll never see it again, kind of thing.
Now, my Dr. Hook record, I might want to get rid of that.
Right. That's true. Yeah, sometimes you want to get rid of the stuff that's like very common. Like I don't need 5 copies of Toto. Like I can get Toto anytime.
I don't think you need any copies of Toto, but that's just me.
Well, there's that Georgie Porgy. I love that song. It's kind of a disco song. I don't know. Hold the Line. Yeah,
was that it for you then?
No, I got one more. I'll show the last one. The last one is another experimental record too. Another cool album cover as well. Love the art. The band's called Wetware, and it's on the DAIS label, DAIS label from the States. Good label for experimental stuff. Like there's some coil stuff, I think, and on that label. This is a duo from Brooklyn called Wetware, experimental duo, and this is a little bit more on the industrial side, but again, drone and ambient as well. And it's something I picked up overseas. I think, when you're traveling and you just see a cool ass cover and you're like, shit, I think I want to buy that.
I know the feeling. I
want to take that home, take a listen. And it's not bad. It's not going to be like my top. Maybe it'll be a top 10 for 2018. Who knows? I haven't done the video yet. I haven't shot my video yet, so I didn't get ahead of the game here. There you go. That's it for 2018.
Okay. All right. Well, for my last two.
Last hurrah.
Well, it's going to be quite a different. So the first one is a compilation released in 2018, but the items that are on this are all very obscure, sort of cold wave, synth wave, not even synth wave. They're more like more electronica and most of it it's from the 80s. Okay. And so and I don't know, Stunty may know of some of these artists. It's released on Minimal Wave Records.
Oh, I know that label. Yeah, it's a good label.
And it's the Bedroom Tapes.
Cool.
What's
some of the artists?
The store, the shopkeeper, when I was in there, I asked for, if he had any coil, or if he had, I even asked if he had any Nurse with Wound. And he said, "Oh, I don't have anything like that. But here, you should check this one out." So I thought, what the hell? All right, I will. Minimal Wave, that's what it is. It's a compilation of Minimal Wave from around the world, 1980 to 1991. And yeah, really, really, it was a very good recommendation. So you've got I always kind of mess up trying to figure out, all right, what's the name of the song and what's the name of the artist? It's one of those situations. So I need to bring.
Yeah, I looked on Disco. They're really all obscure. I've never heard any of these bands at all.
Yeah. So like, is
It's
this
cool?
all right? So
Ellen?
the band, like the first on side one, you have this band Pink Ellen. They're from Germany. Then you've got Discomo.
Yeah.
I think that's the name of the band. Perfect Mother, they're from Japan. Oral Indifference from Australia. Subject from Belgium. Disco Omo is from Germany. Pink Ellen is from Germany. Arvid Tuba is from Sweden. And then there's Karen Marks from Australia. So Vorgroup from Germany. Yeah, so it's a compilation of these various artists, and it's a song by, the one artist, and so yeah, very very intriguing minimal wave. Yeah, and it's really, I really like it. I really enjoy it. It's different. It's new music. It's it was it was music that I'd never heard anything like before. So it really was feeding that part of me that was looking for that type
Dude,
of
that's
experience.
a great comp, man. You should get more stuff on that label, by the way. It's a good label for the stuff like that.
Minimal wave.
Yeah, Dark Entries, Minimal Wave. There's like 2 or 3 different labels like that that are really good for like
All right,
retro, obscure synth.
I'll keep my eye out for
Yeah,
that label. So yeah,
it's fun
and
stuff.
then my closing record is, I guess you could say it's kind of folk music, but it's also alternative. And it's a project by an Irishman, Connor O'Brien, and he goes by the name Villagers.
Got you.
And this is The Art of Pretending to Swim. This is really, Connor O'Brien is, to me, one of the most amazing singer-songwriters right now in the world. He is, in his style of the music that he plays, is very much kind of on a folk style, but he also he's a multi-instrumentalist. So he usually on his recordings, he's playing everything, and then when he tours, then he has a band that tours with him. But he does have. I'm looking in here. I'm kind of thinking that he's got some help with some other musicians on here for the recording. But yeah, I just the first time I heard him was with the Jackal, that recording, and just really interesting songs that have stories, and his voice is a little bit childlike is not quite the right word, but his voice, he sounds a lot younger than he is.
Okay.
But this is one of his newer ones, and when I picked it up, a pig, Ellen in German means to pee. I did not know that.
Okay.
New things that we learn here on this.
Yeah, we just learned something there.
But yeah, if and I'm trying to think of, do I say he's like maybe early Bob Dylan? He is not in terms of style, musical style, but he is in terms of the types of stories, the whole idea of the storytelling with that kind of folk music delivery. He's difficult to categorize. He's a very personal singer-songwriter. I think another reason I really like his songs is I get a vibe from him that he is struggling with depression. And I don't know if he really is, but the songs, many of his songs are written from that perspective, with the type of allegory and symbolism that he employs, that I'm like going, yeah, this guy's dealing with depression, I can tell. But then some of the songs are also, like a typical Irishman, a reaction to the Catholic Church, in that whole hegemony there. But anyway, yeah, Conor O'Brien with Villagers, really, to me, one of the more significant, more important singer-songwriters out there right now. He's worth paying attention to. He's worth investigating, and I haven't been disappointed with any of his releases. I think it's worth picking up anything by him. So there you have it. That's the year 2018.
We did it.
Quite a year. A lot of stuff. I was surprised by as much material.
One thing I forgot.
Earlier.
Well, one thing I did forget to show, which Christopher was calling out, I forgot to show Judas Priest had Firepower. They did come back. It's a bit of a return to form for them. Big album. And this is the tour I got to see them on. And but my only complaint, as I was saying to him, I actually sold the vinyl version of it. It has too many songs. The songs are long. I mean, a lot of 5-minute songs. I just don't like the production. It's just too modern, almost dead. It's almost dead.
Yeah.
You know when you put on a record and it's like it doesn't come alive, and this is heavy metal.
Right. Yeah, I know what you
really
mean.
Come alive. You know,
yeah.
It's just loud and bright and modern and digital production, and I think it kind of kills the music a little bit. But there are a couple good songs.
I think also kind of what you're alluding to with the CD format. There were a lot of CDs that were released that there was just way much, because you could put so much more material on the CD than you could on vinyl.
They stacked.
They just started putting a lot of shit that if they had to cut it for a vinyl release, they never would have released it.
The vinyl for this was a double record, and it took up so much shelf space, and I never listened to it, so I just sold it. I said, "Fuck it, I'm not keeping this too much."
But I think that's where it kind of comes from, is that, oh, well, we can get, 110 minutes of music on this CD now. So let's fill it up with whatever we come up with.
Yeah.
Or, let's play, let's do a song for 6 minutes that really only needs to be 3.
It's indulgent is what it is, right?
Yeah,
you need a good editor. But if you're a band like Judas Priest, who's going to tell them to cut that back, right? Like no one's going to tell them. You've been around that long. You surround yourself with yes men, right? You don't have a no man in the camp.
Right. That's the danger of being famous.
It's like Iron Maiden. So Iron Maiden put out an album last year. It was awful. I had to get rid of it. It was 3 CDs, 3 CDs
for an album release.
Yeah. No one's going to have that commitment. Who's going to listen to that? That's very self-indulgent by the artist, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. That's a little too precious.
We should be the producer. Chop it down.
Text, sorry, guys, you're only allowed 45 minutes.
1 EP. They're saving it up too, right? They're saving it up for 3 years, and then they're putting out this big tome of a release. Why don't you guys put out a little EP each year? Give the fans a little something each year,
Well, sometimes
break it up.
Isn't sometimes the with some bands that they start doing that because they need the money.
Yeah.
They've spent or a manager. Sometimes it's because a manager ripped them off. Somebody in the supply chain ripped them off, and they've got to go out and make some more shit. to make some more money, and sometimes they do a good job at it. That happened to BB King. He had a manager that wiped him out completely by the early 60s. But then he came back solid and, was able to die a very wealthy man, but he was still doing quality music.
Business.
So, all right. Well, good day. Thank you for
Thanks,
joining, Jason. Thank you, everybody out there in the Peanut Gallery, for hanging in there. Some of you latecomers missed a really good show, so you'll have to watch the early parts after this gets posted, and we'll see what we'll come up with for next week. Check out Jason at Low Noise Jason Skills. And then I am Richard Calvinwazoo. So remember to pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.